Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Let me get the presentation up for you all. It is 8:03. We usually start about 8:04, 8:03. I know it's Easter, so it's probably going to be a little lighter in our normal attendance, but I'm really happy we've got some good folks that came tonight for a good cause.
Absolutely. We are always lucky to have people show up. I am so grateful for you all. We're still letting people in, but I do want to let you know that we are recording this and this is being streamed on Facebook. So if you don't want your image or your name, this is the time to, you know, go on phone or block off or whatever you want to do with that information. Welcome, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. I see everybody introducing themselves on the chat, and thank you for that. Zoom tips. I think we're all pretty much experts at this point, but just in case, please mute yourself if you're not speaking. I promise to mute myself because I talk too much. And so to, allow us to be here for only an hour versus 3 hours, I will mute myself as well. Chat function, if you have a question, if you could just throw question on top or question before your question, that would make it easier for it to pop out. We try to answer all the questions. If we don't, we will definitely follow up with you on it. Well, we're recorded.
So I just want to take a moment and wish everybody that does celebrate a very happy Easter.
And today is on April 4th, 1968 at 6:01 Central Time. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and we wanted to take a moment to recognize his life. We mourn. Sorry, I have goosebumps. His life and his tragic death taught us, but we still have far to go to realize his dream. Let us honor his legacy with open hearts and actions. Today, we're going to discuss the Thrive Agenda. We have amazing local partners on this call, and I'm so looking forward to hearing from them and our calls to action.
Alrighty. Hi, everybody. My name is Lori Woodward Garcia. I am a co-leader of Broward for Progress, and thank you all for joining us tonight. We see some familiar faces and new faces. Tonight, in lieu of our regular Broward for Progress meeting, we are teaming up with thousands of frontline workers and grassroots groups across America during what is known as Recovery Recess, to bring attention to what we all know what we need to do to get our country back on track. And that means climate, jobs, and justice. This is our time to thrive. What is Recovery Recess? MoveOn and other national partners have created this space for us to take action in our communities. We're doing it virtually, but you'll see others around the country are doing it in different locations. The hashtags for these events are hashtag Recovery Recess, hashtag Time to Thrive. Ours, of course, of Broward for Progress is Demand Better Florida. And a little bit about the Recovery Recess campaign. It features over 100 events nationwide, highlights demands for bold policies addressing the coronavirus pandemic and resulting economic fallout, as well as the climate crisis and racial injustice, and comes as activists warn that Biden's reported infrastructure plan falls short of what's needed. Tonight, we're going to discuss what the Thrive Act is, or the Thrive Agenda, and we're going to learn what you can do to ensure that all in our community can live a life full of dignity, respect, and the ability to thrive. All righty, let's get started. I'm going to share a great partner video. This is from Sunrise Movement, I think it was that created this. Hopefully you can hear. Let me make sure the sound's on.
Never been challenged before.
We know the dangerous catastrophic effects of
climate crisis,
the corporate greed of the fossil fuel industry,
COVID-19,
high rates of unemployment,
trying to pay off my student debt
while dealing with racial and gender injustice.
This is why we must pass the Thrive Agenda.
It's time to transform, heal, and renew by investing in vibrant economies.
Because it's high time that our federal government implement a just recovery to support Black, Indigenous,
working class, and immigrant communities.
These same communities are home to frontline workers who are getting sick and dying at a higher rate than anyone else.
We need to see jobs created that support frontline workers
so that we can continue to work while our loved ones are being taken care of while they're the most vulnerable.
Our communities deserve to be healthy. We deserve jobs with living wages.
We need to build things in America again
in a way that isn't going to exploit the environment.
The Thrive Agenda retrains those who will be put out of the fossil fuel industry.
We have the resources, but we must bring them all together and make the connection between climate and the economy and race.
The Thrive Agenda moves us towards justice, sustainability, and right relationship with our Earth.
Support Thrive if you want green transit, green infrastructure.
We would be able to create millions of good-paying jobs.
Unionized, high-paying, clean energy jobs.
Clean air.
Clean, safe, affordable drinking water.
And the further strengthening of our union rights.
Those most in need cannot be an afterthought.
We need a sustainable way to do our work.
And I need my children and my children's children
to have a safe and healthy world.
Based on solidarity, cooperation, and self-determination here in Jackson, Mississippi.
Here in New York City.
Baltimore.
Inez, Kentucky.
Lansing, Michigan.
New Orleans.
Salt Lake City.
San Diego, California.
Here in my home of Alaska.
On Yukon Territory, known as Fresno, California.
And Miami, Florida.
That's what the Thrive Act symbolizes for me, empowerment for all oppressed communities here in America.
We have the power and the ability to create together and help people across the country get behind that vision as well.
To me, the Thrive Agenda says, "T'ilku netchidnu." We are working as one.
Wow, we're working as one. When I look around at all the faces here, I really believe that that we have so much to do over the next years. And I'm grateful to see many good folks that have been really doing amazing work here in South Florida joining us tonight. So without further ado, let me introduce, I believe, Brandon. Will you be able to take this slide for us?
Yes, let me unmute myself and say hi again. So my name is Brandon. I'm with Sunrise Movement Broward, one of the original folks on the Green New Deal, which Thrive is sponsored by, but I just wanted to read out some of the language here. So we all know that it's time to make sure that Congress and the President implement the solutions necessary to solve the historic crises our country faces. We expect action that's responsive to the needs of our communities, of course, Black communities, Indigenous communities, communities of color, working class communities, young people, those who have been excluded from economic opportunity in the past, and those who want to be part of more of a just, sustainable, thriving future. So we're demanding a recovery that works for all of us. And Thrive is a blueprint for the future that tackles the multiple crises we face: economic inequality, racism, climate change. I think the simplest way to look at it is that there are 8 pillars of Thrive, and they're all extremely good. But it is a plan to create 15 million dignified jobs for millions of workers and support a better life for the millions more who remain vulnerable in this pivotal moment. This is a once-in-a-generation chance to go big and go bold, no excuses and no exceptions. So thank you for joining us on the onset of this historic piece of legislation and the start of a very long fight, the future of our country.
Thank you, Brandon. And I believe we've got Eric joining us.
Yes, hello. Eric here with 350 South Florida.
So what exactly is the Thrive Act, Thrive Agenda? There are, as we said, 8 pillars. The initials actually stands for transform, heal, renew by investing in a vibrant economy. It's a bold vision for the future centering around these 8 pillars. Number 1, creating millions of good, safe jobs with access to unions. Number 2, building the power of workers to fight inequality. Number 3, investing in Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities. Number 4, strengthening and healing nation-to-nation relationships with sovereign Native nations. Number 5, combating environmental injustice and ensuring healthy lives for all. Number 6, averting climate and environmental catastrophe. Number 7, ensuring fairness for workers and communities affected by economic transitions. And number 8, reinvesting in public institutions that enable workers and communities to thrive. It's a big mouthful, but really everything that's good in the Green New Deal and Build Back Better plan and all these, this is like everything that we've needed, in the activist community for a long time, and we have the possibility of actually making it happen.
Thank you, Eric, for sharing that. I'm going to stop for a second before I introduce Anna, who's going to speak about why we want to advocate for Thrive, and just change over my speaker view here. One of the things I do want to talk about is our collective power. We can really affect change when we all come together, and you see that on this call and in different actions that we've done throughout the past few years. So there's a lot for everyone in this bill or in this action under Thrive. And you're also going to hear locally, there's many other things that we can do to affect change. And for folks that are watching us on Facebook or will be later viewing this, there's still other ways to take action. So let me go ahead and go back to the screen here. And if you can do me a favor, if you're not speaking, please do me a favor and mute. Thank you so much.
Why should we advocate for the Thrive Agenda? Why? Well, let's listen to the science guy. Now, I do have to do the warning of explicit language. It's not everybody's comfort zone. It's certainly in my comfort zone. But I did want to give you a heads up that Bill uses his words. Seriously, we can't mitigate global warming, bounce back from COVID, make serious changes without investing in our future. Investing, not spending to put a Band-Aid on where we're at this point in time in history. We need to make serious investments in our future. $1 trillion a year for 10 years, not a piddly $1 to $2 trillion total being proposed. If you watched the segment with Rachel Maddow and AOC last week, we learned that $40 billion is being proposed nationally for housing infrastructure. But in reality, New York State alone needs $40 billion to upgrade it to be safe, dignified living for its residents. Let's think about that. New York State alone. And today in the news, we learned here in Manatee County, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has declared a state of emergency after a significant leak at a storage pond of wastewater that threatened to cause flooding and collapse the system with radioactive material. Radioactive material. For far too long, our nation has neglected the needs of many and the necessary investments we need. Now is the time we must invest in the future. Look, we all work hard to get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris elected, but we need to work hard enabling them and others to invest in our futures, for us, for our children, for our children's children. If we don't demand bold solutions, we'll get nothing. Zippo, nada. Now is the time to go big and go bold. So let Bill take it over because he's the science guy.
I've got an experiment for you. Safety glasses on. By the end of this century, if emissions keep rising, the average temperature on Earth could go up another 4 to 8 degrees. What I'm saying is the planet's on fucking fire. This is an actual crisis. Fire, floods, crop failures. The planet's on fucking fire. Motherfuckers. Fire, floods, crop failures. The planet planet's on fucking fire. Things could get weird. Here's the problem. When we release carbon, say by burning coal, all of us pay for that in the form of things like fires. Safety glasses off, motherfuckers. Grow the fuck up. We can do this. Do this. Emit less carbon, motherfucker. Emit less carbon, motherfucker. Grow the fuck up. You're not children anymore. I didn't mind explaining photosynthesis to you when you were 12, but you're adults now, and this is an actual crisis. The planet's on fucking fire.
All right, you get the idea there. I'll go ahead and stop it there. All right, so we definitely know that we've just got to go big, bold. As Anna stated earlier, we just cannot keep overlooking the infrastructure problems that we have in this country, the climate threat that we are facing, the COVID relief issues. We have so much to go fight on, and the Thrive Act addresses so many issues. I really appreciate the help of Brandon, Eric, and Anna talking to us about the Thrive Agenda, but I'm really also really excited tonight. We're going to be talking with some local leaders that are already doing bold, impactful work here in our community. And before I talk about them, I just want to address that the Thrive Act or the Thrive Agenda will reinvest in groups like who you're hearing from tonight. Part of the whole Thrive Agenda, which is beautiful, and you read it and we'll send you information, is that they dedicate resources to folks that are doing the work on the ground. It's transformational. This is a different type of act. We've never seen anything like this. This is really transformational information. So I just really am excited to hear from some of these groups. Some of them may be new to you. Some of them you've maybe heard of. You're going to hear from the leaders what they are doing in our community and ways that you can take action. We're going to give you follow-up call to actions, and we'll follow up with you this week as well. But I'm really excited to share with you. You're going to meet some local leaders, as I said, that are doing bold, impactful work here in South Florida. And when I think of a thriving community, it is leaders and groups like we're going to hear about that are working on a daily basis in our community, making sure that everybody can live a life full of dignity with respect and the ability to thrive. So without further ado, is Carolina here? I'm going to see if I don't know if I saw Carolina.
She is not.
She is not. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and go to Alyssa with Bend the Arc is here. Take it away, Alyssa.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Lori. I'm Elisa Henning. I am one of the local volunteers with Bend the Arc Jewish Action South Florida. So we are the South Florida chapter of the national organization Bend the Arc, which is the only progressive Jewish organization that focuses exclusively on domestic policy issues. And here in South Florida, some of the key work that we focus on includes immigrant justice and racial justice, and dismantling all of the different ways that white supremacy and white nationalism create sort of a toxic environment that keeps all of us from thriving completely. Right now, our focus is on the state legislature. We are part of a coalition of dozens of groups that are fighting the governor's anti-protest bill, HB1 or SB 484, partly because we know that as a community organization, we need to have all of the tools of peaceful protest available to us to stand up for justice and to fight for what we need our leaders to do. And so we don't want to see the governor basically criminalizing peaceful protest. And then also because we know that if this bill passes, the burdens and the hardships are going to fall disproportionately on our partners who are people of color, including Jews of color. And so we want to do our part to let the governor and our legislators know that, protest is a Jewish value, and we won't stand for being silenced or for our partners being silenced. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. That is a link to our sign-on letter. We delivered a copy to every member of the House before their vote on HB1. We had more than 400 signatures, and we are trying to double that in the next couple of weeks so that we can make a delivery to all of the senators and hopefully stop this bill from moving forward. And so here is that link. And if anyone has any questions about how to get involved with Bend the Arc Jewish Action in South Florida, I know Lori will pass out my contact information. I'd love to hear from you all. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. Really appreciate it. And I just want to point out something, because we have some action takers in Broward for Progress. And please, if you see, we're going to be sharing out this week, even if we're all like trying to affect change on HB1, please sign the different petitions. It really, really helps all of our groups when we're promoting each other and helping each other. And you might think, well, I already signed one to send to the senators. Please just take that extra minute. It really is impactful. There's a lot of grassroots groups that are lean, small, and we really need each other. We need to lift each other up and help each other. So sometimes we are fighting on the same issues, but sometimes keep in mind that we may have different ends. Somebody might have a different end than other groups. So it's really important. I'm really excited to share that information with you. Thank you so much. Our next group that we're going to be hearing from, we're going to be hearing from Mark with Chainless Change. Mark, you're up. Mark Mitchell, thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for having me, Broward for Progress. I'm Mark Mitchell. I am the Executive Director of Chainless Change. We're a recovery community that offers advocacy and support for justice-involved people. We especially serve folk in Miami-Dade and Broward counties. Right now, we're working on a number of different initiatives, working around transforming a number of different policies and systems that impact justice-involved people in South Florida. There was just the mention of HB1. Of course, that's critical for all of us, because oftentimes when we're coming together, we're just asking for our basic needs to be met. We're asking for access to healthcare, for employment, housing, all of the things that we need to survive, all of the things that we need to thrive. And instead of investing in the resources that we need, our government has decided to try to silence us, to put a muzzle on. And that's often the only way. Coming together to protest, to speak, exercise our First Amendment rights are the only ways for us to voice our concerns. And that's especially true when it comes to people in our community who are just as impacted. In Broward County, and there are over 3,500 people who are incarcerated inside of Broward County. Tens of thousands cycle through the system, the correction system in Broward every single year. And our goal at Chainless Change is to serve as a voice for those folk, but also to provide the resources necessary so that people don't continue to cycle through the system. We find ourselves oftentimes working around incidents of violence as well as medical neglect that people inside of Broward County jails face. I don't know how familiar you all are with the death of Kevin DeCiro, the history of Broward Sheriff's Office, but over and over again, it seems like every 2 months, there's a cycle where people inside of the institutions are either dying, they're forced to give birth alone, or reporting or things come forward about incidents of negligence and violence. And so one of the things that we did at Chainless Change is we spearheaded the Decarcerate Broward Coalition, which is an effort of local organizations who are affected by the criminal legal system are interested in working around the issues that affect justice-involved people to come together to try to find ways to promote alternatives to incarceration, divert people from the criminal legal system, and ensure that incidents of abuse, negligence, and misconduct that happens inside of local jails are addressed. And so we invite you all to come and get involved in that work. Sometimes that leads to protesting. There are also other actions that we are doing, like meeting with our elected officials, doing some analyzing of local budgets to see where funding is going and how it can be redirected to ensure that the resources are there for justice-involved people to actually have access to what they need to not continue to come in contact with the criminal legal system. Right now, our organization is relatively small. We do a combination of service as well as community organizing. We believe that we need to provide services that are necessary for people to return and to be successful and to thrive. But we also know that this system will continue to destroy lives and to be a burden on taxpayers unless we do work around organizing and transforming the system. We identify as an abolitionist group. We believe that we should be focused on building new systems to administer justice. We believe that we should try to exercise all options before incarcerating people and putting them into exile. We don't believe in incarceration and excessive punishment is the way to respond to what's perceived as crime in our communities. We believe that we can keep our community safe. We believe that if people are equipped with the resources that they need, then we will have less incidents of violence as well as less crime in our communities. And so we invite you to come and join us to get involved in the work that we're doing at Chainless Change through the Decarcerate Broward Coalition, but also some of the service work that we're doing. There's tons of needs that people have when they return to the community, the same needs that we're talking about today through the Thrive agenda, and the same things that you and I need: healthcare, housing, employment, community, and so. What we're doing is we're providing services to people, trying to ensure that they are linked to those types of services. And we found that when folk have access to these things, they're less likely to return to incarceration. So we created a program, our Power program, where we provide recovery and reentry planning support with people. We had 100 spots in the beginning of last year that we needed to fill. We filled those spots and we have a wait list of over 400 people who are saying that they want to receive these supportive services so that they can return to the community and be successful. And we find that there's not enough resources that are going towards true reentry programs that allows people to access what they need and not only focusing on a job. We often think just give them a job and that's the only thing, right? But folk have real needs: mental health, behavioral health, dealing with substance use histories, just so many needs. And so we have this wait list, and what we're trying to do now is work on developing relationships with people in the community. So we created our Circle of Change Pen Pal program, where we are pairing people from the community with someone who's incarcerated. You never exchanged your address. You can also use a pen pal name if you want to. But it's a letter exchange initiative where you can communicate with folk inside and just let them know that someone outside cares, that there are people outside who are concerned about the issues that they face, and letting them know that they're valued. So when people feel valued, when they feel included in the community, they're less likely to commit crimes, and people are more likely to see folk as the humans that they are instead of the things that they've been accused of. And so we're inviting you to get involved in the work that we're doing, become a pen pal for someone, and communicate with them while they're inside, and help people prepare for the transition back into the community. I think I might be getting a little long-winded, so I'm just gonna really
okay. You're good.
But if you want to find out more information about what we're doing at Chainless Change and ways that you can get involved, you can follow us on all social media platforms. That's going to be Chainless Change on all platforms. And we're also have a text bank where we send out random alerts about things that we're doing and ways to get involved. You can text Change 954 to 954-833-6353. Again, that's 954-833-6353. One last thing I just want to say before we move on. One of the things that happens when people come into contact with the criminal legal system is they'll accumulate tons of fines and fees. Those fines and fees prevent people from having access to jobs that require a level 2 background, from occupational licenses, as well as driver's licenses. If people are not able to pay their fines and fees, their driver's licenses are suspended until they resolve those debts, which is extremely counterproductive, because if you can't afford to pay in the first place because you're poor, putting you out of work by suspending your licenses is not going to help you to pay those fees. It's a really counterproductive practice. So right now there's a bill that's going through the legislature to address this issue, to ensure that folks are no longer penalized for their inability to pay fines and fees by having their licenses suspended, to explore other options to generate that revenue, so that our court system does not continue to be funded off the backs of poor people who come into contact with the system. So if you're interested in doing some work around ensuring that people have access to transportation, which ultimately helps our economy, helps families, I urge you to contact your leaders, your elected representatives, and tell them to support House Bill 557 and Senate Bill 386, which are intended to allow people, or to stop the policies that allows people's driver's licenses to be suspended for unpaid court debt. It's not a matter of driving or of safe driving. It's just a matter of poverty that continues to result in people's lives being unraveled because of their inability to drive.
Thank you so much, Mark. And I saw Anna's eyes light up when you talked about writing, because you don't know, we wrote 85,000 postcards for the last election cycle. So I think we could probably come up with a good program to help with the writing. I think that would be a really good activity for some of our membership. Thank you for sharing that. And I promise we will share all of this information. I've already contacted all these leaders about the call to actions. We're going to be following up with emails to all of you, so you'll get all of this information. For anybody that is on our email list or on this call tonight, we'll make sure that you have at your fingertips all this good information. We're not going to probably send all of it at once because it's a lot of information, so you'll get a trickle throughout the week from these amazing groups. Thank you so much. And we will have time, by the way, folks, we will have time for questions at the end, but I do want to make sure that we have time to get in our other presenters as well. So we also have next up, we have from Women's March, love my Women's March. We've got Carrie Feet and Cortez Lewis are on the call tonight. If you ladies, you want to take it away.
Good evening. I want to make sure you all can hear me. I am Cortez Maria Lewis, and I am a co-director here with Women's March Miami, and also the Secretary of Women's March Florida. So I just want to give you all some background history for those that may not know. Women's March for Florida is a grassroots progressive mobilization network created by the same women who brought 27,000 people from Florida to Washington, D.C. as a part of the collective mobilization of over 1.2 million people to the first National Women's March on January 21st, 2017. So that is our history. And we here at Women's March Miami, which is a chapter of Women's March Florida, we are an inclusive, woman-led grassroots movement engaging all communities through an intersectional framework in political activism and socially focused advocacy. So tonight we have with us our director of the state of Florida, Carrie Feet, who is also a co-director in Miami. And we also have Alicia who is a co-director here in Miami, and her area of expertise is healthcare and HIV, and my area of expertise is advocacy across the board. So Carrie, take it away.
Hi all, thank you so much for having us. Such an honor to speak, and Alyssa and Mark, your presentations were so great, and Mark, your organization sounds excellent, so I'm so excited to learn more about them. Yeah, so we just wanted to, I know we only have a few minutes, and we've shared all I'm going to talk about some updated action items around legislation, and Lori will share those with you. So I'm not going to post everything in the chat necessarily, but like I'm sure many of you all and your organizations, we've been right there in the fight against this violent legislation attack against our Florida communities, namely women, workers, Black and Brown communities, LGBTQ community, especially trans kids. So we've been, and every day it gets worse with this horrific legislative agenda. You all know about HB1, which is what we've been calling, the DeSantis censorship and repression bill, or the anti-protest bill. I will share here, by the way, we did a full-blown, I just put in the chat. That's a link to our newsletter where we have all of the bills that we're actively protesting. We would have loved to have had time to also do a list of bills that we're for, and there are some good bills out there that we're supporting, but with all the whack-a-mole we're playing right now, we're on the defense. So we have this really nice graphic link in the chat to our newsletter with all the bills, the most horrific ones that are actively protesting, and underneath you'll see there's all the action items, all the organizations that are on the front lines of those issues. We send you to them to get all the work that you can do. I did want to mention though some up-to-date action items that are not on there, and the first one has to do with HB1, and that is just to be sure to share. And again, you'll get this from Lori. Florida Politics came out with their article cites this study to New Economic Analysis that finds that this bill will actually cost the state hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's really good information to share about the cost of this bill, because that's what a lot of folks care about, and that's where it's at. So share that widely when you get that from Lori. The other thing is the next, the update on this bill is that it's already passed the House and it's now being fast-tracked to the Senate Appropriations Committee, where of course it will likely pass on party line. So what we'd like to do is share, and Lori has this to share to you, that's where we want to direct a protest, of course, to email, send opposition to the Senate Appropriations Committee, where the bill will be heard next. And in the information that Lori will share, she'll give you, we have a Google Doc that has all of the contact info for that committee. So that's where the fight's at right now. A couple other updates, the anti-trans youth sports bill, a horrific bill that's gonna cause so much harm and trauma to our trans youth. A bill that's it's a political football, a bill that's being brought in many states across the country by the GOP, just like I said, as a political football, actually having nothing to do with trans youth, but will of course have such a horrible effect on trans youth and not allowing them to participate on the team of the gender that they identify with. And of course, the sense of not belonging, we know what that leads to. We know that leads to poor health outcomes. We know that leads to addiction. And we know sometimes that leads to suicide. And unfortunately, the update is that it's in its final House it's in its final House committee on Tuesday, which is the House Education and Employment Committee, and it only has one more Senate committee, the Rules Committee. So the pressure is on. We have, again, Lori will send you that latest link so we can, you all can send opposition to where the fight is at right now to that committee. And the last one that we have an update on, the parental bill, we've been calling it Parental Bill of Wrongs. It's technically named the Parental Bill of Rights. This is a really, really horrific bill, again, which will have the worst impact on our LGBTQ youth, but also on any children experience any kind of abuse at home, in that this bill takes away any confidentiality that students may have with teachers or counselors. And aside from that, this bill allows parents, it actually requires schools and districts to provide mechanisms to allow parents to intervene and to object to any kind of curriculum to which they morally object. That could be Black history, that could be women's history, and we know that could be LGBTQ information, and it could be, of course, sex education and HIV education. So really, really harmful. And unfortunately, this bill has passed in the House completely, and it's in its last Senate committee on Tuesday, the Senate Rules Committee. So again, Lori will have that link so that you can send the opposition to where the fight is at right now to that committee. This has been a horrific session, as we all know. So you can check out our newsletter for that I put the link in for the rest of the bills, and just get generally educated and aware on that, and send your opposition to where it's needed. The last thing that I want to mention that Women's March Florida, Women's March Miami is very actively working on is Homestead. And I don't have time to go into it. I'm sure you all are aware of how the Homestead Detention Center in Homestead, Florida was used in 2019 and before then as well, and how there is now a chance that we will be reopening to place migrant children. And of course, we're actively opposing that occurrence. We're actively opposing that reopening. The couple things I want to mention, the most recent happenings around that is that Frederica Wilson, our Congresswoman, has, and we don't really know her intentions behind it, she has been urging the Biden administration to reopen Homestead, actually saying things like, send the girls, we have space, and lots of folks, and we need to continue to call her office and try to get her to change her tact on that. We have to talk to her about why we never want Homestead to reopen, why we never want children to be in militarized environments, while we don't want, it's a terrible place and it's a terrible environment. And so we need to talk to her, we need to educate her, we need for her to understand why she cannot take this position. And our Miami-Dade, it's on us, on our Miami-Dade County, our Broward County, our South Florida communities to educate her on that. Also on April 10th, we're going to be having an action at Homestead Detention Center to again oppose not only its reopening, but really any, like I said, temporary influx facility, any militarized environment for children, the long list that's being considered right now by the Biden administration to place these kids. No place like that is acceptable for children. Our hashtags are, not here, not anywhere. So it's not just Homestead. We're opposed to any facility that has that kind of sterile, secure, not to mention that Homestead is on a Superfund site and that its land and air are toxic. There are zillions of reasons for us not to want the kids to be there. So that event is on April 10th at Homestead Detention Center, 7 p.m. It's going to be a rally and light projection. Again, Lori has the information. She'll send you. She has the link to the Facebook event. And that's about it for the sort of calls to action and updates that we want you all to know about going forward. And I want to turn it back to Cortez because she has a very exciting opportunity to talk about when it comes to our organization and specifically when it comes to Broward County. And we're actually going to be announcing it for the first time right here and now. So Cortez, take it away.
Woo! Thank you so much for that update. Please, please, please support everything that she has mentioned, and also let's please get into action about Homestead. At the end of the day, we want no child locked up, period, point blank, no discussion, no trying to figure it out. We don't want the doors open. We don't want the kids locked up. So drum roll, please. Broward County, yay! So we are looking for Broward County leadership. We welcome all feminized, gender nonconforming, and trans individuals to step up to lead Women's March Broward in this crucial time and stand with Black and brown and queer and trans folks against systematic violence, police brutality, and inequitable carceral system which seems to hit Broward the hardest. Anyone that lives in this state that's been here for any length of time realizes that that's a hotbed. Broward County is resilient and comprehensive. They have a coalition of folks that fight for our most marginalized people here in our state, from Ruthless to Black Lives Matter, Alliance of Broward, and we're eager to work with that coalition again. So this is our first time publicly just releasing Broward County. We're looking for leadership for Women's March. So please reach out to us. We're ready to get Broward County back on fire so we can continue to do this work in this state. So we just thank you all for allowing us to be here. Our other leader is on the call, but she's dealing with some business, so she can't talk right now. But we are here. We are here to coordinate. We are here to collaborate. We're here to educate. We're here to do whatever is needed. So thank you all for having us, and have a great night.
Thank you.
And one last thing, if you'd like to get on our email list, because we didn't have a handy little button for that, if you can just put in the chat, Women's March and your email, and we'll add you to our email list. And the last thing is, if you're interested in joining Women's March Broward, helping us restart a chapter in Broward and leading that, please email hello@womensmarchfl.org. And we'd love for folks to step up. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Cortez and Carrie. And I can tell you, these are women that walk the walk. For folks that know me, Anna and Jamie, these are our counterparts down in Miami. These ladies are amazing. All of the leaders that you're hearing about. I'm just so touched to have you. I mean, these are people, social justice warriors doing the work. And we will definitely share out. We've got a good little list here in Broward. I think we've got now over 5,000 folks. So we'll definitely share any information from any group that is building power. We're happy to get that information out to anybody in any way that we can, because we know that when other groups are thriving, we're thriving, and we always welcome partnerships with any organization, because it's really important. I know sometimes I've heard leaders say, well, we don't want to, share or whatever. I think that's counterintuitive. My thought process is all of our different groups, all of our different needs, all of our different issues. It's kind of like church, some people will go here because they feel comfortable, and some people will go there because they feel comfortable. But at the end of the day, it's really important people are taking action. We need them taking action on these issues, whether it's racial justice, immigration issues, healthcare. We just need folks taking action. So I'm super happy to share any information all your groups have. And I'm really excited to introduce our next.
I want to take a quick moment of privilege and say thank you, because Women's March is why I'm here.
Yay!
March was the first time I was so obsessed. I took my daughter, I took my husband, we grabbed our poster boards, you lit the fire in my belly, and sorry for taking the moment of privilege. But I wanted to say thank you for that.
We love Women's March. I'm super excited to introduce our local partner, Moms Demand Action. We've got Robin Raymond, who's also a Broward for Progress member. She's been a long-time Moms Demand Action member, and I'm excited she's going to share a little bit of what Moms Demand Action locally is doing here and any calls to action that she has. And I see we're coming up on 8:51, so I hate to kind of shrink our little time, but I do want to be respectful. You all know me, we're in, we're out. So just sharing that with you. Robin, if you want to take it away, please. Thank you.
I understand. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm Robin Raymond, and I'm a volunteer with the Broward chapter for community outreach with Moms Demand Action, which we're a grassroots group fighting for common sense gun safety legislation and for preventing gun violence. That started with Shannon Watts, who was mother of 5 after Sandy Hook. And now it's grown to over 6 million supporters. And what we're trying to do, so nationally, are going to go to calls for action. Our most first priority is getting universal background checks approved. So we're urging everyone to call our senators to say, pass background checks, and it's an easy ask where you just text the word checks to 644-33, And Lori's going to post a Google document in the chat that has also links for that. So we're asking, it'll connect you. That will connect you right to Rubio and Scott. And also, if you can write letters to the editors is also very effective. And we've put in that document guidelines for writing letters to the editors, which are good for this action and also just in general. It's always good to know how to do that. And just to let you know, an interesting activity that we're doing to call attention to asking for universal background checks, which is common sense. I mean, even everybody, Republicans, it's just a no-brainer. How can we not get this? There's 2 bills that already passed the House. We need to get it past the Senate. What we're doing starting Tuesday is they're going to have banners going at 7 banners going from around the country to Washington in kind of an Olympics relay where nobody's running it. But we're taking it, for instance, for Florida, from Miami. There's going to be a Moms Demand Action person in Miami that drives to halfway to Fort Lauderdale, and then a Fort Lauderdale person takes this banner that's signed by survivors and other reasons why we need common sense gun safety and passing universal background checks. And that banner is going to travel from each mom driving to that banner, taking a picture all the way up to the state, and then goes up the Southeast, corridor, and then from California. So all these banners from around the country are going to make their way, and the longest part is going to be Federal Express towards Washington. So that's one exciting thing, just an interesting thing. But locally, also for Florida, another call to action is we're fighting against the guns in religious organizations. What they're trying to do is saying that now there's a bill, it's Senate bill, it's already passed the House, it's Senate Bill 498, saying that you could have concealed carry in a religious organization that has a school on the property. Like my kids went to preschool, and there was a school, at the temple, and there's a school there. Well, they're saying that they could have guns on that campus, on that religious organization. And so that's obviously, we do not want guns anywhere near where kids are having school activities, anything. So it's already going to the Rules Committee with Senator Kathleen Passidomo. So I put in that Google document is her contact information, a script for how to call her tomorrow. If we could call tomorrow, because it's going to the Rules Committee. And we want her to say, don't hear it. And if she has to have it be heard, then we want her to vote no. And then worst comes to worst, it's 3 amendments that we're asking for to not have guns on college campuses, to let the property owner have the decision of whether they should allow concealed carry, and that also that there should be no guns during school session. So come help us. That's some of the action. So it's in a Google document that Lori's posted on the chat. So, and if you want to join Moms Demand Action, just text the word join to 644-332. We need your help, and just everybody. This affects everybody. I mean, everything affects everybody, and this certainly does too. So thank you so much, Lori. We love our Lori and everybody here. I know so many people here, and I thank you all.
Let me tell you something. I have nothing but total respect for you, Robin. Robin is a frontline warrior. Anybody that's been around the past few years has seen her work tirelessly for her community, and I'm always in awe of the Moms Demand Action. I mean, they really are a truly amazing organization, the grassroots work that they do. And, we saw the pain and suffering from Parkland. We saw the pain and suffering from Orlando. There is no reason why this state should continue to give way to the NRA. We have to do better, and we've got to come together. Every one of our fights is each other's fights. So thank you, Moms Demand Action. I'm happy to introduce Eric with 350. Eric, take it away. And we're short on time, so take it away. Thank you.
Well, hey, thanks again for hosting us here. So yes, we are looking to put the pressure on our local elected officials in Congress to pass the Thrive Agenda and pass the Thrive Act. We are going to be scheduling a virtual lobby meeting with our South Florida congressional delegation. We've only got 2 co-sponsors of the Thrive Act so far. That's Alcee Hastings and Frederica Wilson.
Frederica has not.
Really? I saw her on as a co-sponsor. Okay, well, that's very interesting. We'll have to, all right, so we have another person we have to meet with. So yeah, we have several others that need to hear from their constituents on this. So please sign up with the link in the chat if you would like to attend a virtual lobby meeting. We don't have a set schedule yet, but we'll be getting back to you, and then that the sign up link is just to express, just to reserve your spots, express interest in attending. These will again be virtually via Zoom during the week. If you can't, do that, then that's fine. We're going to be collecting testimonials. So you can take a video, you can take a photograph with just a brief message to your congressperson about what you want them to do, why you want them to pass the Thrive agenda. What aspects of it, really are personal to you. Because, personal stories really make a big difference when you're talking to elected leaders. So just so you don't feel shy about, what kind of things you can share. I'm just going to post an example here of something that you could do as far as a photo testimonial. So this is a screenshot of, just King Tide, last fall. You can, let me see. You know what? This is difficult to do for my phone. Or you can just make a sign like this, hold it up as if you're speaking to your congressperson directly. Just be creative, keep the message pretty simple. And again, it's all explained in the link that I just posted in chat. It's just bit.ly/recovery recess SFL. So again, please either sign up to attend a virtual lobby meeting with your congressperson or to submit a photo or video testimonial so that they will hear from their constituents on this incredibly critical package of legislation.
Thank you, Eric, so much. Really appreciate 350 and all the work that Eric has done. Eric is also a tireless champion working hard in South Florida. Without further ado, I'm really excited to introduce our local partner, Immigrant Action Alliance. I can tell you that Bud is inspirational. If you've never had a chance to meet him, please do. He is a fighter, and I'm very honored to know him and learn about the good work that he's doing. Bud, are you there?
I am here. And Lori, thank you so much. I've just been inspired this evening. I know we're up against the wall, but we all do the same work. This is amazingly synchronous. Robin said everything affects everyone, and it does. And every speaker before me, with the group you represented, we have done an action with, a something with. Whether Moms Demand Act, Mothers Demand, Moms Demand, Moms Demand Action came out to Miramar, which I'll explain. I remember 350 people at Chrome supporting us and vice versa. Women's March, yes, show up on April the 10th. We are co-sponsoring that action at Homestead with Women's March. Okay, I'm going to slow down here just a little bit. If you need to leave, I understand.
No.
My name is Bud.
But you can take as much time as you want.
Well, I won't go crazy.
No pressure.
But you can stop me. Lori, we're good buds. You can
I
say,
know.
Bud,
I
Bud,
will. I would pull the hook, but you're good,
Okay,
Bud. You got time.
All right. We're the Immigrant Action Alliance. It was fascinating when I listened to Mark from Chainless Change speak. I could just say ditto, but I won't. Everything that Mark talked about in the criminal justice system is in the immigrant detention camps. Lisa knows that. Lori, I feel like I know so many of you, and I know you know that. For those that don't, we started in 2013 as Friends of Miami-Dade Detainees. About a year and a half ago, and it was about a year-long process, we changed our name to Immigrant Action Alliance. The word detainee became toxic, is toxic, should not be used. And our mission changed. We spent 7 years or so focused totally on the Crone Detention Center. And when it became about that, we are now South Florida, and we work with people in Broward Detention Center as well as the Glades Detention Center. Our motto has always been, and I will credit my wife Cookie for this because she came up with it right as I was going up to speak to a group, and it's never left us. We comfort, we witness, and we resist. And we do that with directly impacted people and their families. We do not do it for them. We do everything we can to lift up their voices and let directly impacted people and their families speak for themselves. We have had a very robust in-person visiting program up until I think it was March 13th, 2020, when all the visitation in all the detention centers was canceled by ICE due to the pandemic. And we have pivoted, and we've pivoted remarkably well. We text and talk to people in Glades, BTC, and Chrome every day. We talk to people in Baker. That's another immigrant detention center, Baker County Jail. And those are the only detention centers left, immigrant detention centers left in Florida. Wakulla County just pulled the plug, thank God. Monroe County, I live in Monroe County, and I don't like our sheriff, and I don't think it's any big secret, but on the eve of the pandemic, I'll say April 15th, 2020, he just said, we are not housing immigrants in Key West. I don't think he was so concerned about the immigrants or even about his county prisoners. I think he was concerned about people coming in and out of that jail and the staff spreading it all over Key West. So those are the ones that are left. To the point, we are involved. Immigrant Action Alliance is leading a campaign to shut down the Glades County Jail and for immigrants. It's horrible. They're all horrible. This place has complaint after complaint after civil rights complaint after suit, just horrible, horrible conditions. And none of them are good. In case you don't know, Glades is in Moorhaven. It's in the middle of the cane fields. It's a Claremont, I think, might be a city that might be kind of close there, but that doesn't sound right to me. I can't think of the name. There actually is a town of maybe 3,000 people about 10 miles from there. It's about 55 miles from Naples, if that helps you. And it's a 2-hour drive from Miami. And that's how they get away with this shit. It's out in the middle of nowhere. You can't get lawyers there, except Elisa. Elisa's been there. I know she has. Who else? They can't have family visits because it's so far removed. And with COVID, it's just become horrible. ICE likes to tout, we only have 5 cases. We only have 5 cases. Well, you only tested 8 people. Everybody else is coughing and puking and fainting. It's the Trump thing. If we don't test, we won't know. So we have been doing public records request release. We are working with we are a small group working with national partners. United We Dream, ACLU, SPLC, and I'll stop there because it goes on and on. But we are the lead group on the ground. Glades is losing money over it. And they don't have people. They are down to 117 immigrants in that rotten hole. And ICE is paying them for over 400 to keep it propped up. They do it on a month-to-month basis. That actually got Debbie Wasserman Schultz's attention. She said, what? We're paying Glades County for people that aren't there? She signed on to a letter with Congresswoman Jayapal to look into that and stop that. So anyway, on April the 14th, Immigrant Action Alliance is partnering with United We Dream and Mi Gente to do a safely distanced caravan, Eyes on Ice, at the Plantation Field Office at 11 in the morning. And we will get that event out to you. That's part of a national campaign, a national day of action. There will be virtual actions all over the country and selected safe actions that are on site. And United We Dream approached us and asked us if we would do an action at the ICE field office headquarters in Plantation. And we said, yes, absolutely, we would do that. I do support the action on April the 10th at Homestead with Women's March and the other partners. And the only way, I never know who I'm talking to. Glades is tough. All of our supporters, all of our orgs are either national or Miami based. We are desperate to find orgs in Naples, Southwest Florida, Moorhaven if it's possible, even individuals. Our group goes to their commission meetings every month, which is like, it's by the time you're done, it's an 8-hour deal. If we could find some people out there that would help us with that, or any groups, if anybody has an in with Ave Maria Law School, I won't get into the politics of Ave Maria Law School, but they are close and they have an immigration program. And I talked to my contacts and they're long gone from there. I think I said everything. We always want pen pals, like Mark said. We always want donations, but follow us on Facebook, immigrantactionalliance.org, on our website. It's all there, and you can email me, and I know Lori will get out the information. And I'm sorry I took so long, but thank you, Lori.
No, you know, I have a special place in my heart. It was through Bud that I had an opportunity to do some visitation down at Chrome. If you've never had a chance to visit somebody who's in detention, it's really an experience that you never forget. And I feel the isolation and the work that Bud and his organization does is just so critical to giving people dignity. And that's what Thrive is about, right? Is about making sure that people live their best life and have an opportunity to thrive. And these are ways of breaking down these systems that are oppressing people that we continue to highlight. And again, to all the partners that are on tonight, please share your contact information, your fundraising information, any events. It's going to be part of our communications to our membership. We will be growing our membership as we have for the past few years, and I want to make sure that we're lifting up good partners. So please, anything that you have now or in the future, just always add me to your email list and I'll make sure I get that out. And I'm going to speak to our last partner we have on is Labor Community Alliance, and we've got both Lorenzo and Juan. I'm not sure who's going to share with us, but I will turn it over to them.
I don't hear Lorenzo, so I think it's me.
Hey, Juan.
Hi, everybody.
Good conclusion.
There you go. He's listening, watching if I do it right or not. But just very happy to be among all of you friends, and people from other organizations that are LCA members, Brandon, Victoria, Eric. Some of you are like my extended family, Lori, Anna, Ronnie, Michael. But so you guys know what we're all about. But for those that don't, and I want to get to meet you all, LCA was founded 7 years ago by our late Jack Lieberman and Lorenzo Canizares, and out of affiliations with our Revolution and Justice Democrats and the United Front Against Trump. We are very active in ways collaborating, getting together all the groups. We are not really an organization with a targeted motive, but we are most about getting all the organizations that are close to our beliefs and have them share, and we help in any way we can their causes, and getting people that is interested in helping causes, they come to LCA. So everybody's welcome there. I will post the links to our group, and pretty much we work in Miami and Broward, and we have a monthly meeting. We try to get everybody behind the plan, and now we have big goals. We're trying to join. There is a coalition, maybe some of you heard already out there, for Florida's future, and trying to do what happens in Georgia, right? So we're trying to follow their long-term vision for the state, since Florida has been kept red by very improper ways, I will say. We want to turn that around and make it a representative government. So pretty much that was it. I will post a video here. It's only 2 minutes, and I would recommend everybody to watch it so you know what LCA is all about. And we have a website, a YouTube channel. We have our Facebook group. That's how you get in touch with us. But if you need help to support your cause, or you wanted to meet somebody, or you wanted to contribute some good cause, well, LCA is an option, just as Broward for Progress is, of course. They are our sister organization. Here is the group, and I'll turn it to Lori.
Thank you so much, Juan and Lorenzo. And let me tell you
would
something
like-
that, Juan, go ahead,
Lori,
Lorenzo,
I would like
please.
to pull a plug for
Absolutely.
we are having a forum on labor with 6 prominent labor leaders here in South Florida: Carla Hernandez-Matz, Mike Schwaneman, Richard Quinconces, who is the vice president of the FLCIO. Mike Schwaneman is the president of the building trades. We're having Curtis Hierro from the CWA, Nucleus Shelton from the SEIU, and I'm missing one. I don't know if you remember one who I'm missing.
I just posted the forum.
It's in the chat for folks.
So you can see.
And the important thing about this forum is that labor is basically the strongest segment of people inside of the progressive movement. The people with the most resources, the more ability to be able to do a lot of stuff, win elections. Like, for example, a union that I work with in Pennsylvania, we have a governor now in Pennsylvania who is a Democrat, Tom Wolf, because of the labor involvement, especially the involvement of the teachers union. So they encourage you to come, because labor will be as strong as we can work with the community, and the community will be strengthened much more if we work together on issues that matters to both.
Well, you're speaking to my heart, Lorenzo, because the reason why you guys were invited is the fact is that Thrive agenda, a big part of it is union jobs. So there is so much to be had in that Thrive agenda, and we really do appreciate our labor brothers and sisters, and especially the work that you are all doing, connecting all the different labor forces through South Florida. So I'm really glad that I found you guys, and anybody that's not visited the Labor Community Alliance, definitely they put on some really good events, really good information. Get on their email list, follow their YouTube. They're really an amazing group. And definitely, even if it's not your issue, it's important to be involved and understand what their fights are so that you can share that out with your community as well. All right. Thank you so much to all of our presenters. I'm happy to announce we're the last one here, Broward for Progress. For folks that don't know, real quick, I'll share this with you and then we'll close out. Thank you so much.
I want to point out that picture.
Broward for Progress. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to point out that Lori was in a picture because she was
I'll go back
protesting out of state. So
That's right. I wasn't there.
Random thoughts.
I look like I'm like passed away or something. Oops. Let me go back.
Broward for Progress champions progressive values and is a grassroots group committed to increasing voter registration and participation. Whether it's supporting a candidate, fighting to pass legislation, or working to change our culture, Broward for Progress members are committed to an inclusive and progressive future. We envision a world marked by equality, sustainability, justice, and love, and we mobilize together to achieve it. We stay away from labels like Democrat or Republican because in Florida that has become divisive. We prefer to fight on issues like healthcare, immigration, racial justice, gun safety, and more. We are committed to championing these priorities. Number 1, people must come before profits. Number 2, all community members deserve to be healthy. And number 3, everyone deserves to have housing and education and economic stability.
All right, and that's going to close this out. Let me stop sharing the screen here. Just a couple of points I want to close this out with. So you've heard call to actions from everybody here on different groups. I promise I'm going to be sharing that all with you. The one takeaway that I want to leave you with on the Thrive agenda, this is going to be with us for 6 months. Well, up until the budget fight in probably September. So we're going to be in this for a while. The one thing that you need to hear or take away from this is we only heard, as you heard, we only have one representative in the entire state that is signed on to this. That's Representative Alcee Hastings. So we have our work to do. We've got to make those calls, emails, start outreaching to all of the Congress people on this agenda. And just to get a view of perspective, if you're talking dollars, Biden's great plan is, I think, 1 to 2 trillion, possibly I've heard up to 4 trillion over 10 years. The Thrive agenda, as I said, is a 10-year, about $1 trillion a year. So it's about 10 trillion. So we've got our work to do. We'll be sending talking points, more information, but just take away that we only have one congressperson right now. We've got several. So if you have other members of Congress, we're going to be asking you to take action with them, calling, emailing, and all that. When you see those alerts come in your email box, I know it's a lot. Maybe you check it once a week. Maybe you do it every day. We try and ask you to do one email, a petition, a call, or something like that. But understand, we're under siege here. We are getting hit on the federal level, the state level, and sometimes on a local level. So please be patient. I know sometimes people say, well, I get too many emails. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But we try to share information when it's good, and we're hoping you'll take action. And just to think, people say, does it make a difference? Yes, it does make a difference. Do you know last week we did a call to action? It's very simple. We're like everybody, fit to be tied about SB 90, the anti-voting, voter suppression bill, and also the HB 1, which is the anti-protest bill. We asked all of our folks to send a letter to the Republican senators up in Tallahassee along with their staff. Guess how many we sent in 1 week? We sent over 40,000. 40,000, that's all of you. So do me a favor, when you get that email, please follow up on it, share it on social media. That's a big ask. Share. Because what happens, those emails go straight to them, and we're going to print them out. And if we can, we'll get them up to them as well. So this is ways that we take action, as well as those phone calls and all that. If we do nothing, then we're giving up, right? If we do nothing, we're giving up. And I'm not giving up. And I know you're not either. So let's get to work. We've got a lot to do on the Thrive agenda. We've got to support these great partners. If you're interested in any of these organizations, please reach out to them, help wherever you can. And let me be clear, let me resoundingly say this. Every one of these fights is our fights. We can no longer be in silos. We have to understand that we are interconnected, and that it is critical for the survival, for the ability for us all to thrive, is that we take on each other's fights and we fight like hell for each other, right? Because it is too hard and too divisive in Florida to be in our separate silos. We've got to fight hard for one another. So please, I'm sorry we went a little long, but I think it was worth it. I think there were some really good partners in here, good information, and I'm excited because can you imagine if we get that candy store, all the amazing things that we can get, the union jobs, new Green Deal, lots of good things in there, you know, racial justice. There's so many things in there that we need. So let's fight hard, share the information out, and thank you everybody for coming out on a Sunday night on a holiday. I so appreciate and really grateful to all of you. Have a good night. Bye. Thank you for coming.
Good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Nice
Thank
seeing you.
Good night.
Virtual hug.
Thank you. Thank you, Lori.
Good
Thank
night,
you, Mona.
everybody. Thank
Stay
you.
prayerful, as they would say at camp.
Night, night, all.
So just in case, I'm not sure if anyone else was taking notes, here is the one that I just started trying to save everything that people were, you know, posting and saying at the head of that Thrive Pillars doc. So hopefully you can copy and paste
Thank
it.
you.
if you
Yeah, I have it on the chat as well, and I'll try and go through it tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Good
for
night,
coming in.
everyone. Happy holidays to
Happy
celebrates.
Happy holidays. Thank you, everybody,
Yeah,
for
okay.
coming on.
Take care.
Good
Bye-bye.
night. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.
Make sure to show up on Earth Day on April 10th. All right, I'm gonna head out. Let's see, but you have that doc, or do you want me to send it to you another way?
Can you do me a favor and email it to me, please? And then I'll follow up in the morning. Thank you.
Gotcha. All right.
Bye, guys.